So today I'm going to show you guys how to get the stickiest aim you possibly can in Black Ops 6. I'm going to go through everything that I do to make my aim stickier because we all know in this game it is really bad. Now, Treyarch released a chart showing you guys everything that you need to know about sensitivity and stuff, but the chart is actually wrong. They released the wrong conversions for the actual sensitivity itself. So let's get into that right away. We're going to go straight into, I think it's in controller here, and as you guys can see right here, whatever they say on their charts, it's a little off, all right? And it's been proven that it's been off. What you want to do basically to find your sensitivity is whatever your sensitivity was, if it was 18, for example, multiply it by 0.2, and that'll give you your actual sensitivity to what it should be. So you guys can see right here, we could actually go by decimals now, 0.80, and you could even go ahead and slightly adjust it right there if you want 0.90 or something. It's actually pretty cool. I kind of like it. It is what it is. I play on 190 horizontal and 2 vertical. It's a little fast. Some of you guys might find it fast, but it is what it is. Now, I just recently woke up, so my hair's a bit of a mess. We're gonna kind of just ignore that. I just wanted to do a face cam video because I haven't done one in a long time. And also, guys, if you want, make sure to use MMO Exp. You will get a bunch of headshots easily. You will get bot lobbies, whatever you need, they got you covered. And you could go ahead and use my code for some % off. And if you need camos unlocked, they'll do it for you. If you need anything, you'll get it done. So make sure to use MMO Exp. So basically what I do in order to make my accuracy the best, there's a few things that you got to go into, and one of them is going to be the controller vibration. You're going to want to turn this off, and there's a misconception that if you turn it off, it actually increases input lag. Guys, it is not on the same system as the input or anything like that, so it won't cause any input lag whatsoever if you turn this off. It'll actually help your accuracy a bit because your thumb won't be moving on the joystick or anything. Nothing like that will be happening. And speaking of joysticks, this is the controller I play with. I use Control Freaks, and you guys can use Control Freaks with its Nick 12 as your code at checkout, and you'll save 12%. I love these. They just sent me a whole bunch of new ones today, so I'm gonna try those ones out as well. My accuracy is really good with a stick. Now, I don't have back paddles, as you guys can see here. I don't have anything on my left stick. I only got a right stick addition on my controller. It's a basic controller. I play wired because it's the best for input. It actually makes everything quicker, and that's just all you need to do, basically. You don't need a fancy controller that costs $500 to play good at this game. Like, I'll drop people in lobbies like crazy playing on a basic controller. Now, my Deadzone here, all right? Left stick minimum, you're gonna want to put this down to 0 if you possibly can. All right, I'm gonna say that right now. You're gonna want to put that down to 0. I recently put my max up to 100, but I'm gonna bring this down again back to where I used to play at around 40. It's just the best for movement. I find it makes movement really quick. It makes everything really nice. Now, I in my last video I did mention 100, but 40 is where it's at. All right, ignore what I said last time. Now, my right stick minimum, I'm not gonna go lower than 7 on this one right here. Okay, and the reason for that is the lower you go, the less aim assist you actually have working with you. If you touch it just a little bit, like a little micro touch, you're going to be fighting aim assist. Aim assist is going to be trying to lock onto the enemy, but if you're in a gunfight and you're just slightly moving it and it's at 0, it's going to register and it's going to move you off targets. It's going to make the aim assist a lot weaker. 7 seems to be nice. It's very sticky at 7. Actually, the higher you put this, the stickier the aim assist actually gets, but the more you have to actually push the stick. So I don't recommend going too high. Even though it's better, 7 seems to be a really solid number right there. Not a lot of people know this. A lot of people put right stick minimum down to 0. I don't recommend that. You're going to want that up at around 7, and then the max you want that at 100 because you're going to get full movement on this right here. It's going to be really nice, all right? And then left trigger and right trigger, 0. You do not need that right there. Then in the aiming right here, I'm going to go to aiming advanced settings, and I keep mine on gradual. A lot of people like instant. A lot of people like after zoom. The reason I don't like instant is because if you're playing on a high sensitivity and then you have this on instant, but your ADS sensitivity is at like a 1 or a 0.90 or even a 0.80, it's going to be really hard to snap directly onto the targets if you are missing a little bit. So if your crosshair is not aligned with the enemy and you're using instant, for example, instead of gradual, you're gonna have to move a little more. It's gonna take a lot of milliseconds. Actually, it could even take up to a full second to get on target. I'm gonna show you guys that in the firing range right now. Actually, I want to show you guys an example so you can know exactly what I'm talking about. So let's just go into the firing range. It doesn't matter what gun we use. We're gonna go into there, and right now I'm playing on gradual. Okay. This thing ever loads. This game is so weird. All right, so I'm gonna aim down sights here, but this guy's gonna be my target. So let's say there. It's pretty fast. I actually over adjusted my aim right there. It's pretty fast as I'm aiming. I could just snap onto him. That's on gradual. But if I were to go and I were to change this over to instant, and then I start ADSing at the exact same spot, so we're gonna go here. it's going to slow down a lot, and by the time I get to the target, it's really bad. Let me show you guys this in a better example. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to the custom sensitivity per zoom. I'm going to set it to as low as possible. Do not do this in game, but we're going to do that right there, and then you guys can see how slow it moves over to the target. So if I'm ADSing and it's instant, the second I hit that ADS button, it's going to slow me down instantly. The second I press it, even before I ADS, I'm already moving very, very slow. But if I were to do the same exact thing, we're going to leave it at 10 and I'm going to set it to gradual. If I were to do the same exact thing, you could see that as I'm aiming down sights, it's still moving at a pretty good speed. The only time it slows down is when I'm fully ADS, and I find that really good for snapping onto enemies and stuff. That's why I play on gradual. Now I'm gonna go back to my custom sensitivity, and we're gonna put this up to 0.85, 0.90, somewhere around there. I find really nice. It helps stick onto the enemies really good. Then we're gonna go over to linear. I used to play dynamic a lot. I still recommend dynamic. I'm not going to say don't do it. It all has to do with your playstyle, but I put on linear, and then for linear, I put it down to 0.75. Rather than 0.80, I put it down to 0.75, and it seems to be working really nicely for me, and my aim is actually pretty snappy on targets. It stays on target, which is really nice, so I recommend this as well. Now, there's a few other things that you guys should be doing when getting into gunfights and stuff, and we're going to get into that as well, but first, I want to mention that I leave all of this off, all right? The only thing I leave on is corner slice. It has nothing to do with accuracy in all fairness, but I just don't like any of these right here. And then in combat, again, I don't really change much to begin with, but in graphics, you might not think that this is going to help you guys out in gunfights or anything, but in graphics, I want you guys to go over to view and put your field of view to 100, okay? The reason you're going to do this, look how close this guy looks on my screen, all right? He looks very close to my screen, which means that my crosshairs are going to easily cover his body if I'm aiming at him. I don't know why my crosshairs don't show in here, but whatever. It's really easy to snap on a target because look how big he is on my screen. But if I were to go back to the settings and play on 120, which I don't recommend, look how small he is. To get my crosshairs over him, I could over adjust easily just because of how small he looks. I don't like it like that. And a lot of people, unless you're doing TikTok videos, I don't recommend playing at 120. Most of the pros play anywhere between 98 and 110. That's what I've noticed, at least. A lot of them stick towards 100, and that is probably one of the best numbers to stay at. Then I also play on independence so that when I'm aiming down sights at a target, it brings him into my screen. It makes him really big on my screen, which means it's going to be really easy for me to stay on target. I can move my joystick a lot, and I'm still on him right there. I'm going to show you guys that actually. So if I'm moving my joystick like this, almost fully moving my joystick left and right, I'm pretty much staying on target. So I think that's pretty cool. But if I were to change this to affected, that same movement that I'm doing with my joystick as before, it's really not staying on target whatsoever. It's bouncing all over the place. It's not cool in my opinion, all right? So we're going to stick that to independent, and we're going to let him come closer to our screen just so it's easier to hit those shots. And then the last thing you want to do is set the weapon field of view to narrow. Instead of default, instead of wide, narrow is actually going to make the gun take up less amount of screen space on your screen. Because if we go ahead and change this to like wide or something, look at that number 10. Look at the 10-meter sign. It's gone. It's off my screen, okay? It doesn't show anymore. Default, it's half there. It's half off my screen. But if you actually set it to narrow, it's fully off my screen. You could fully see that number 10 right there. That's the one I'm talking about. You could fully see it. But if I were to go and switch back, let's say to wide, it blocks it completely, which is not really good because if someone's drop shotting you before you even ADS, you could lose them in your barrel. You might not be able to see them or something. So in my opinion, it's a very small change, but it's a change that I actually really like to use a lot. And then weapon motion blur, I turn this on. The reason I have it off right now is because I'm going to take a thumbnail, and if I take a thumbnail picture with weapon motion blur on, it just looks really awful. It looks awful, and it's just ugly, all right? But I recommend turning this on, and the reason you want to turn that on is because when your brain sees something out of focus, it doesn't really register it. So if you're running around the map and your gun is not on motion blur, you're going to be focusing on that gun a little bit too much, at least subconsciously. And then if you turn the motion blur on, it's like a picture. If you look at a picture that the background's blurry, your main focus is on the person or whatever is there in the center that is not blurred out. So if you make your weapon blurred out, your main focus is going to be on the map, on where enemies are going to be, you'll see enemies easier. It's very slight things, but they do work out a lot. And then obviously the camera shake, you want to put it to the least. So that's basically what I do in order to get my gunfights a better advantage, to give myself a better advantage in gunfights. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like. I only realize now that my camera froze for like the last minute or two of that video. Maybe that's why I don't do face cams too much. I don't know what it is. Anyways, like I said, if you guys could drop a like on this one, subscribe to the channel with those notifications turned on, become a member if you guys really want. I do appreciate that. We got members all the time and I love it. It just makes me feel happy. And let me know down in the comments, do you guys want me to start streaming? I really want to start streaming, but there's something holding me back, and maybe it's nerves. I don't know what it is. Let me know if you guys want that, and I'll definitely start it. You're gonna have to see this ugly face more often. Let's go.